So, welcome back once again, day number 11 here. We touched base on it slightly yesterday about sort of building relationships with agents, and I just want to really focus today on that exact topic. I think whilst we all strive to get direct to vendor and direct to landlords, I do think that estate agents still play a very important role in your journey. They have all the properties, well, not all the properties, but they are known as the place to go to if you want to rent a property or if you want to sell a property. So they are a good source of leads. They are free marketing. At the end of the day, to get direct to vendor and to get direct to landlords, you normally have to pay to get that sort of advertising, those leads coming in. So, this is a good way for you to get your journey started at low cost, but also as your journey builds, you do become more and more popular with agents. You become more of a known person in your area for your certain strategy, and you start to get the phone calls that other people don't get before the deals come on to the actual website, and ultimately you get the first bite of the cherry if you're quick enough to get those deals. So that really helps you kick your journey on again, and helps you build. And then, like myself, we've got sort of JVs going on with estate agents. You actually build the relationships that strong that you want to start working together. You both can add real good value to one another, and then ultimately, you keep going bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's an amazing game property. The journey it takes you on, and the relationships you build, and it's not all about the money. Yeah, most people are getting into it to sort of get that freedom lifestyle, but once you tick that box and you've got your sort of moved out your job, or you've got your amount of money that you need on a monthly basis coming in each month, it becomes different, and then the journey sort of becomes about relationships and win-win situations with people and JVs, and it's a really, really good game to be in, and it's fun, and it can be obviously very profitable, but at the same time, you can build these friendships as well. So, and estate agents, they are everywhere. For me, to get the best out of what the strategies we operate in, I always think you should choose a local smaller agent, particularly for strategies like rent to rent, rent to SA, and lease options. The bigger agents, the franchises, that they're not really that interested. The people that work in there, they're on the buying side or the selling side. They're pretty much told that that's what they've got to do, and that's what they know, and that's what they're good at, and so they kind of just stick to that channel, and that's fair enough. That's a business model that works for them. Whereas your smaller agents, they sometimes probably need the money a bit more to feed their staff levels, to if they're having a poor month on the sales side or the letting side, then they need a bit more money in. And if you come along and you can offer to take a number of properties off them in one go, or build that longevity relationship where you're going to take a few off them every few months, it really does. They'll open their ears, they'll listen. Whereas the bigger ones kind of just say it's against company policy and shut you down. Post-COVID, who knows, the bigger ones might become a bit more open to it as they need money back in, but I imagine they've pretty much, they'll be quite cash rich, and COVID probably won't have affected them too much, and they'll get caught up as the market starts to pick back up, as we're kind of already seeing. So but for me, the smaller agencies, they're also easier to build the relationships with, and sort of build the relationships higher, sometimes getting to the actual owner or the partners, and building relationships with them over time. So choose your small agencies, maybe pinpoint 2 or 3 out in the sort of areas that you've researched and you're going to operate in, and they're the ones that you want to focus on. You want to be picking up the phone to them at least once every 2 or 3 days, and you just want to be inquiring about properties for sale at the start. So inquiring, you're a deal sourcer, for investors or for yourself. You're a property investor looking for a 3-bed terraced house, 4-bed terraced houses in this location, maybe need a bit of a refurb, that sort of thing. So you just want to ask those sort of questions on your first few phone calls, and then what you want to do is kind of test the office to see who's more responsive to maybe your questions, of even just, a bit of testing of, could you just send me that information through? This is my email address. Or, could you maybe try to arrange a viewing and give me a call back? Now, again, you might not be interested in any of these, but it's just you're kind of testing the water to see who goes that extra mile for you. And then when you find out who that is, you want to then start contacting that person every time you call the agent. You ask for that person. If they're not in, you don't speak to anybody else. You just tell them that you'll call back tomorrow when they're off their day off, or whatever it might be. So always go with the same person. And why you're doing that is simply to build the relationship. Over time, you'll get familiar with each other. So, hi, it's Ryan again. How you doing? Yeah, great. And you start talking, bit social. What you get up to at the weekend, that sort of stuff. And you're building that relationship. And then you get into the meeting, so have you got anything on your books this week? Anything new come on? Have you got any landlords that have got any properties sticking? And, over time, you can drop in the sort of rent to SA, the lease option stuff. I do think most agents, they get bombarded with stuff. I know, I was speaking to Tony the other day, and he was saying, the amount of letters they get through their door about rent guarantee, and they just miss the message altogether. Sending a rent guarantee advert to an estate agent, well, that's kind of cutting them out the picture if it's not done in the right way. So why are they going to be interested in offering your service? So you've got to make sure that when you're going to pitch these creative strategies, it's got to be at the right time with the right person. Once you've built a relationship and they know that you're not going to cut them out the deal, they know that there's something in it for them long term, and so, but at the start, you're going to need to start the relationship building somewhere. And I think that's always the way to do it, is through your sort of deal sourcing for investors, or you're looking for yourself, or buy, refurbished, refinance projects. And, just asking questions every few days. Is anything new coming on? Is your valuer being out to see any properties that haven't hit the market yet? That sort of stuff. And then as you get more and more friendly with that certain negotiator in the office, then that's when you start maybe saying, just by any chance, we've started looking at rent-to-rent strategy, or renting properties and then turn them into service accommodation units. Would you have any landlords that you might think would be open to that? Obviously, we'd look to take a few properties on right now, which would be great for you, because you'd get your finder's fees still, etc., etc. So just a good way, but leave it until kind of you've built the relationship a bit over the first few weeks before you start dropping questions like that in. Now, one great tip that I got a while ago was get friendly with the valuer. So most estate agents will have what they call a valuer. And the valuer is the person that goes out. So if someone rings up and says, I want to put my house on the market, they schedule the valuer to go out. The valuer goes out, they have a look around the house, they have a chat with the vendor, they decide on a price that they want to sell it for. The valuer gives their opinion on that. Sometimes he then either takes photos themselves, or he arranges the photographs, he puts all the particulars together, and then he'll pass that down into the office, and then they'll brochure it up, get it online, and then get it posted. Now, if you get friendly with the valuer, then you let him know what your criteria is. You're building that relationship with him. Then, if you've got his mobile number or their mobile number, then when you can be texting them quite regularly, and, obviously not bombarding them or stalking them, but just, positive stuff, being friendly, taking them biscuits if need be, that sort of thing. The idea is that you want them to, every time they go and see a property and value it, before they even get back to the office with the details, they're on the phone saying, I've found you the perfect deal. These guys are all commissioned to sell. So, it is in their best interest to get you the deals. And if they know that there's an investor that buys deals, he acts quickly, he can complete every time, and he doesn't really mess about, then they're going to look great in terms of, if the valuer goes out and before he's even got back to the office, he's sold that person's house, then how good does that firm look to that vendor? And therefore, how many people does that vendor tell, I can't believe how quick they sold my house, and it builds their relationship. So it's a win-win, this whole game. And the minute you start framing your mind that way and believing, don't just go out there ringing estate agents, me, what can I get out of it? What can I get out of it? You've got to be offering value to them as well in order to get it back. And, so the valuer is a good person to really try and get on board with, build that relationship with, and make sure he knows what your criteria is. Make sure that, and if they do ring you and say, listen, got this one, you need to come and look at it. Don't go, Yeah, I've got a few things in the diary over the next couple of days. I'll maybe see it on Thursday because he'll have other people that he'll go to as well. And so will the negotiators once it hits the office. So if he tells you to go and look at a property and it's at your criteria, you need to be dropping everything and going looking at that property because, most BRR deals are worth at least probably 20 grand's worth of equity from day one. And, on the cheaper stuff and on the more expensive stuff, even more so. And, cash flow from 3 to 6, 7, 8, depending how you run your strategy up over per annum, so obviously £1,000 that is, not pounds. So get friendly with these people and build those relationships. And another good tip that I got from Tony again actually was agencies actually prefer regular recurring revenue. So by the tenant finder's fees, the one-off sort of stuff, they're not that interested in it as much as they are a drip every single month. So it's just something for you to think about in terms of how you might be able to build deals with these people and make them feel like they can be involved ongoing and they're not going to get cut out. The reason behind it is the more recurring revenue the agency's got, the more valuable their business is on paper if they ever want to sell it. So whereas the one-off fees, that they're a one-time hit and they're not sure whether they're going to get it back again. Whereas the recurring stuff, like any business, like my business, I want as much recurring income as I can get. It's because it adds more value to your business, to your bottom line. And if you ever decide to sell, then that is what adds the value into the sale price. So always be looking at a win-win situation when you're dealing with agents. They're very friendly people. If you get contacts with some good ones, you'll build great relationships. If you've got the time, go down, pop in quite regularly, have a chat with them, and build that face-to-face relationship as well as sort of over the phone. And it is always easier to build a relationship once you have actually met somebody face-to-face. But you've got to start the journey somewhere, and that for me, that is just to start inquiring with the right agencies about a few sale properties, like every couple of days. Just have a scroll through their website. I've seen this property, could you just tell me a bit more about it? And just opening those conversations with them. You need to build lists and follow up. This is crucial. So every contact you make needs to be logged. Every response to an advert needs to be logged. So if you're posting adverts, we'll come on to a bit of marketing stuff towards the end of the program, give you some action points and where to start marketing. So everything you do needs to be logged. So every contact that you make with an estate agent, write the right person's name down, start writing facts about them down. Same with every viewing needs to be logged. Now the reason for this is with property, it's not always an instant result. So you're not always going to get, no worries, we'll accept your deal. We'll take your offer. You're not going to get that more than likely 9 times out of 10 because you're going to be going in below market value, or you're going to be trying to cut the market rent on your rental deals. Or, you might have a strategy that they're not that open to at the minute, but once the house is sat on the market for 4 more weeks and it still hasn't got a tenant, they might start considering your rental option. But if you don't log the information, you don't know what viewings you've been on, you don't know who you've been speaking to, you don't know who's responded to your adverts, you've got nothing to go back at. So, we have Google Sheets after Google Sheets of information of, all these type of things, and we just constantly revisit it. If we ever feel like our pipeline's a bit drier than we would expect and we need to pick up a few good deals, we'll go through the whole lot. And that could be like, 500, 600, 700 viewings, and yes, most of them will be sold by now, but 1 in 3 property sales falls through as well. So just because something's sold doesn't necessarily mean that it had completed. They could go 2-3 months before they get to right near the end of the process. They think that it's sold and then it comes back on the market again. So by checking in every 2 weeks, I just say you go back to your leads, every single one, line by line, and just click on the link or speak to the agent that you spoke to or speak to the landlord that you were dealing with direct or the deal source or whoever it might be, and just simply ask, is this still available? And if it is, would they be open to considering a renegotiation, or would they be open to considering the offer that I left on the table? And again, it's just opening the conversations, and you just never know where these things go. And time again, we go back to people and, they might fob you off at first. They might not be interested. They might not answer your emails. But if you just keep doing it and keep being persistent with it, eventually you'll either get told that it's not for sale anymore and you'd cross it off and that's it, done, dusted, it's sales gone through, or they actually realize that maybe you are their best option and that you are the one that they need to do some business with if they want to sell that house, or if they want to rent that house out. So it is a huge, for me, follow-up is, again, marketing and follow-up is one of the biggest things I see property businesses not doing effectively. And the minute that you just engage in it, and the minute that you get businesses more efficient in doing these two strategies, the minute that the pipelines blow up and ultimately the cash flow increases. So it's a really, really powerful strategy. And from day one, start logging everything. So, it's really important to helping you with your journey as you start building, 2 weeks down the line, 4 weeks down the line, 4 months down the line, a year down the line, and you end up with these huge lists of information and you just keep going back over them and back over them. So, so for me, estate agents are worth the weight in gold. If you get the right connections, you get with the right estate agents, they will bring a lot of value to your journey. I don't think you should ever close the door on anyone. I don't think you should be so single-minded that you think, I'm not going to use them, or I'm going to only focus on, Facebook ads for my leads, or I'm only going to focus on, working with that estate agent. I do think you need to keep all avenues open. And as I said sort of yesterday, you need to allocate a certain amount of time to call estate agents every day and just keep checking in with those same people, asking, what's for sale, what's coming up, and building those relationships. And if you do it, it pays huge dividends to your results. You kind of just got to trust me on this one. But don't go in there trying to sell yourself from day one, saying how great you are, or how fantastic your service is for landlords, or that you can complete within 30 days on a BRR because you've got a cash investor behind you, or you've got loads of money yourself, or they're not interested in that. All right, they're interested in solving their problems. So what are estate agents' problems? One, they've got properties that they need to rent out. Two, they've got properties that they need to sell. And they want those problems solving. So if you can help solve those problems, then they're interested. But if you go in there screaming and shouting about how good you are and how they need you and this, that, and the other, people aren't really interested in that anymore. One thing I've really learned from all the tried and tested, failed ideas and successful ideas, good conversations, bad conversations, is that it's a relationship game. This, people buy from people. And, I've said it time and time again throughout this program that you've got to just change that mindset of, getting on, building relationship, open conversations and working with people. The minute you start doing that and start to look at everything as a win-win situation, or even sometimes a win for them and a small loss for you, or a lesser win for you is probably the better word. That's a better situation to be in than not getting anything at all. As long as the numbers stack up for you, then that's a better situation to be in. So put this into your game plan. Obviously, you should already have it in after yesterday's sort of analysis, post yesterday's video. You should have an hour per day. Now I want you to actually add some content around it, so take on board what I've just said. Think about the conversations that you're going to have. Think about the agencies you're going to pick out. And, you could even look on the website and have a look to see, most of them have who works for the agency, what their team is. And you could even start your phone call off by, can I speak to James, please? Or can I speak to, Melissa, or whoever it might be, and working through the people and just find out who's a bit responsive to you, and start building those relationships. So that's it. As always, if you need anything, jump into the Facebook group and ask your questions. We are getting towards the final stages of the program. Hopefully things are starting to really come together for you. You're starting to really piece things together yourself. Hopefully you've been trying to test a few things behind the scenes and starting to take a bit of action. And as we move into it this week, we're going to start talking about analysing deals. What else we got coming up? Systems, how we can automate the business and make it fairly passive once we are up and running. And we're going to look at a bit of marketing as well to kind of finish the program off and give you that skill set that you never had 21 days ago. And you're going to leave this program hopefully a much more smarter, wiser property investor. And then hopefully you can kick your journey on thereafter. So that's it. Take care. And I'll be back with you tomorrow for your next episode. And then, as I said, we're near the end here, and then we can kind of set you free and you can really get your ball rolling up the hill and smashing the property journey. Speak to you soon. Take care.